episode of Rich and Wibo present the Local Artist Show, where we showcase the best in local talent. This week's guest learned piano at age 10 and began playing guitar at age 14. But that was just the beginning. He then went on to learn keyboards, bass, and blues harp. Please welcome the multi-talented Keith T. Hall to Rich and Wibo present the Local Artist Show. So, Mr. Keith T. Hall, how are you?
Keith.
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Good, Keith.
I have to say right off the bat, this is the first time I'm meeting you. I know you're friends with Wibo and Wibo. I'll let you say hi to him, but your name is very formal. Keith T. Hall. Is there a reason why you like that middle initial?
Well, music is my hobby, not my career. In my career, there was a gentleman named Keith Hall in the same office. And to separate the two, just to make sure, I put the middle initial in all my business cards and everything. And
okay. All right, Keith. All right.
No confusion anymore.
Yeah.
So Wibo, let's talk about this. This is our second episode of Rich and Wibo present the Local Artist Show.
Yep.
It was Wibo's idea. I want to thank him once again for bringing me as a co-host. I'm having such a great time doing this. I've met so many great artists that nobody, maybe they're they're known locally, but we want to change all that and make them known, especially with the new technology. This show can be seen all over the world. So I want people like you. And then last week we had Dave Quick. So I want people like that to know that there's so much talent. We're in Connecticut recording this. I want so much talent in this area. Instead of becoming local talent, I want them to become international talent. So
international, that's
Wibo,
right.
Thank you very much for having me as part of the show.
You are.
This is going to be a fun interview. I did some research on you. You are very talented, as I mentioned in the intro. So I want to go back to Keith T. Hall, the early years.
T.
I mentioned in the intro that you started playing piano at age 10. Did you start playing music before that, or was that the first instrument you started?
The piano was the first instrument, but honestly though, I was a kid at the time. I hated it. I gave it up. Most of what I learned, I taught myself after that. I just couldn't deal with the instructions.
Yeah.
I tell you,
Well, what kind of music did you play on piano?
Well, when I learned how to play traditional beginner's music, but as I progressed, most of my stuff now that you'll hear is what we call new age. If you're familiar with artists like Jim Brickman, George Winston, and even go Yanni. Now, I'm not on Yanni's level, but that's all new age music.
Now, you mentioned you were self-taught. Did you ever, when you got older, maybe play a little Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire?
With Wibo's band, I've done it a few times, but I'll be honest with you, it's not my forte. But yeah, I could boogie.
I definitely have to see this. I've never seen you and Wibo play out live. I'm going to be the first one in the front row, rocking away. Now, growing up, what were some of your influences? Because you mentioned you started playing the classics. Were you more into the Mozarts and the Bachs and the Beethovens, or did you lean? I know you don't, not playing it, but did you like listening to rock and roll more?
Can I switch the instrument to guitar? Because let me tell you why.
Okay.
Piano is very traditional piano. You learn by Chopin, Bach, whatever. On the guitar, my heroes were the old folkies, the Tom Paxtons, the Bob Dylans, Joan Baez, Eric Anderson, those guys. That's when I cut my teeth on all that music. So those are my big influences. I'm playing guitar.
Yeah. Was there, the reason I'm asking this question is because I've interviewed a lot of musicians on this show and on my other show too, and everybody within a certain age period has the same answer. So when was the first time, I know age 10 is a little bit earlier than most of the people who said, when was the first time you said, I want to be a musician? Was there a certain part of your life that said, that's it, I want to be that?
Yeah, it was after 10. It was more towards 14 when I picked up the guitar. Yep. My very first girlfriend played guitar and she influenced me. And that was a long time, a long time. And I bought a $13 guitar, piece of crap guitar. And I got a Bob Dylan songbook and I just banged away at the chords. And yeah, it was more the folk music revival of the mid 60s, late 60s that really got me into that. I want to play guitar. I didn't want to be next to Eric Clapton. I wanted to be the next Bob Dylan, playing all those folk songs about freedom riders and that kind of stuff.
Well, I have to say, you are the first musician I've interviewed that came up with an answer other than that time the Beatles played the Ed Sullivan Show. That seems to be every
I
person.
remember that though.
I love the fact, because I'm sure you like Peter, Paul, Mary, Joan Baez, Joni Mitchell. I love all of that stuff too. I have very eclectic taste in music, which sounds like you do as well. And I think that music, to me, I'm 52 years old, so I was born in the late 60s. But that favorite era, like 50s through early 80s, were my favorite genres of music. Like I love metal, but I also love folk rock. I also love classic rock. And there's just, when the 90s came out and it started working with grunge, I just got too depressed. I said, this is too depressing for me.
Sure.
I went back to the 60s and had some fun.
Well, now on the rock and roll side, my bands from that era are the Moody Blues,
Yes.
Yes, Led Zeppelin. In fact, I've met several of the Moody Blues. So in the past, I go on these rock and roll trips where you can meet some of these artists, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, as far as rock goes, bands like that are my mainstays.
Now, growing up, were you in a lot of bands with people, or did you play mostly with yourself, like play piano by yourself and maybe do like local gigs playing guitar?
Just on my own. Yeah.
Do you prefer writing alone and playing alone than with an ensemble?
Oh gosh, that's a really hard question to answer, because like with Wibo and friends, I fit right in.
Yeah.
But I play with other bands where this isn't going to work. But I really can't answer your question. As far as writing music goes, I write mostly instrumentals. I have a few songs with lyrics. When it comes to writing, on my own, I just got to sit back and play the piano and just write my own stuff. I've never co-written a song, if that's what you're saying, with an ensemble. Is that what you're asking?
No, I was asking what you prefer, because some people prefer being alone up on stage. You get to do what you want.
Oh,
and other people prefer being in a band setting.
well, there's an answer to that. Wibo knows this too. I'm not a front man. Every so often I'll go up front and I'll play a couple songs, but put me back with the keyboards in the back of the band. I'm happy. Let Wibo take the stage. I don't.
No,
I'm more of a back, but I will go up and, like, sometimes Wibo will play guitar and I'll take the lead. Most of the time I like to play in back, doing all the fill-in stuff, playing all the interludes and that kind of thing.
well, you mentioned several times Wibo and Friends. So Wibo, tell everybody what exactly is Wibo and Friends.
Wibo Friends is a band that Wibo comes from. My name is Wilbert Bowes, and a friend, my sister's boyfriend said, "Well, why don't you call yourself Wibo? Wilbert Bowes." And I said, "Man, that's catchy." And I kept the name for a long time. And people see me now and say, "Hey, Wibo, hey, Wibo." It's different. And I say friends. I say, well, when we performing, everybody my friends.
Yep. And before COVID, we're filming this during COVID, hopefully towards the end of it. But before COVID, did you play out a lot, the two of you?
Go ahead, Wibo. You can answer this one. We did quite a bit. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we played for a while, Keith. Yeah. We, me and Keith, he came in there and called Keith up. Keith said, "I'll be right there, Wibo." And Keith came in with his keyboard.
Remember what happened? The guy you had quit the band. Was it Chip, right?
Yeah, Chip.
And he called me up and I said, "Sure, I'll jump right in."
Yeah, Keith fit right in. Keith Hall.
Keith
Give him
T.
a call.
Hall.
He's right there.
Keith T. Hall.
Yeah.
I met Wibo at an open mic.
Oh, really? Now, what? I mean, we're in Connecticut right now, so for people who are watching it out of Connecticut, but what are some of the open mics that you would play at?
Well, I would. Wibo's open mic. Yeah, several of them up in the Torrington area.
Okay.
Now, I'll be honest with you, and this is truth be told, I'm actually in Florida right now. I lived in New Britain for many, many years. I'm heading back up to New Britain, but I go back and forth. And down here, we've got several open mics that are really, really good pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But honestly, the open mics were mostly, you know what I played at in Connecticut? They had open mics over at the Roaring Nature Center.
Yes.
And you would probably, sometimes, if you're lucky enough, you could play an open mic before the main artist goes on. And the main artist could be somebody well known. Like one time I played, and the guy who followed me was a guy named Tom Rush. Remember, you know Tom Rush?
Yep.
So you play in the open mic, 3 or 4 people, then the main artist goes on. And so that's a good place for an open mic.
What's funny, I just rewatched, I should say, a Linda Ronstadt documentary, and they were talking about how she was found. There was an open mic at this place in LA called the Troubadour. At the Troubadour, they would have everybody. Bob Dylan would play there, Neil Young, Linda Ronstadt, and producers would be sitting there waiting for the next big thing. So for all those musicians out there, you never know who's going to be in the audience, who's going to be watching. I always say, I've done stand-up comedy, I've done other things. I don't care if there's 2 people in the audience or 100. I always play my heart out, whatever I'm doing, because you never know. And like you just mentioned, you didn't know who's going to be right up after you, Tom Rush. So I love that story. And listening to Linda Ronstadt's story, it's just the fact that she's at an open mic, she gets found, and she even said, she goes, I can't write songs. And the guy said, it was the band Chad and Jeremy. He says, I don't care. I will write songs for you. I will get songs for you. You have a great voice. So that's just to me, and Wibo, you can attest to this. We talk about this with other musicians. It's more important to have fun first.
Have fun. That's it.
And then get up there, and then don't worry about trying to make it. Don't worry about trying to be the next big thing. That might come along. You never know. But most importantly is having fun.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. So I mentioned in the intro a couple of the instruments you play. How many instruments are you proficient at?
Okay, probably 2, piano and guitar. Harp I can do pretty well. Now, as far as the bass goes, that was a COVID project. I had a bass amp. I picked up a real cheap bass just to practice on. And since the bass is the first 4 strings of the guitar, 2 octaves lower, it's not too hard to pick up. But the guitar and the piano, I would say, are my 2. Now, I'm going to do a little caveat here, and I don't want to have anybody cry for me, but I had hand surgery done recently. And my playing is not quite what it used to be, but it's getting better slowly but surely.
All right. Well, from what I hear, there might be a surprise song at the end of the show.
There might be. I'm a little nervous about it, especially that'd be good. But
well, I want to go back to a band that you were in. It was called East of the Sky Orchestra. Tell me about them.
Well, the name of the band, East of the Sky Orchestra, if I play a song tonight, it will be a song called East of the Sky. Now, I'll try to make a long story short. Wibo knows this. I'm also a pilot. I fly a small plane. On the way back from Nantucket, I saw an incredible sunset, and I sat down at the piano at the end of my trip, and I wrote a song called East of the Sky. Then I met some people up in the Springfield, Mass area. A gentleman named Joe Carvalho, Eva Capelli, a bunch of folks up there, and the whole, the Northampton area, which is pretty musical oriented. Well, we got a band together that played progressive rock, and it would range from ages from 17 to 60s. Wow. And the funny thing is, we only had 1 concert, but we all recorded individually, and it was all mixed in the studio. So we have 3 albums out, the East of the Sky Orchestra, and it's all progressive rock. Now, it's a little hard to take sometimes. You got to be in a mood for it. Some of the songs are great to listen to. Others require a little bit of understanding what progressive rock really is. So if you go on YouTube or you can just check out East of the Sky Orchestra. We got stuff out there.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because there's a Connecticut band that's progressive. They're called Fates Warning. They're out of Hartford. And when they started off like, it was nice rock and roll. The second album got a little bit better, a little bit more progressive. The third album was their best one by far for me. But then after that, I think the guitar player was trying too hard to show how talented he was and how complicated he make a song that I don't even want to listen to anymore. And when people say, oh yeah, you got to be this good. Some of my favorite songs are Love Me Do by the Beatles, Louie Louie by the Kingsmen, anything by AC/DC. You don't have to be technically and show everybody how great you are. And I think that was the problem with that progressive band. But for progressive, you mentioned Yes, and Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe. I love those bands. I've seen them so many times. And would you compare your music more to Yes and that type of music, or what I was saying with Fates Warning, where they were a little technical sometimes? That what you're referring to?
Yes. I mentioned the lady's name, Eva Capelli, a fantastic singer up in the Northampton area. Her big thing was less is more.
Yes.
Okay. You layer too much stuff on it and everything, it's going to sound like mush.
Yep. I agree with you. Well, I definitely have to check out. So you said YouTube, and you mentioned something that most people in the younger age wouldn't even know what you're talking about. Well, actually, no, sorry to say that records are actually making a comeback. So you had records out back then, it was before CDs?
No, I'm sorry. If I said that, I was mistaken. I never had a record per se.
Okay.
I never had a record.
So what year were we talking about now?
The progressive rock band?
Yeah.
Oh God, anywhere. Oh, fairly recent actually.
Oh, okay.
2000, oh yeah, 2010 to 2015, around there.
Oh, okay. For some reason,
Yeah.
I was thinking that was when you were on your
No.
way up the musical
No,
ladder.
This is when I was in my, I'm still in my 60s. I'm in my earlier 60s back then. No, this is more later years. But I mentioned that some of the people in the band were as young as 17 years old.
Yeah. And did you play a lot of cover songs when you first started, or did you start right away? So let's write originals and go in the studio.
The orchestra was all original music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
No copyright issues.
that's always nice.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's sad? There's a band I like. They're called Real Big Fish. They're just a fun punk band, but they had to buy the rights to all their own music and re-record it because they didn't own any of the rights to their music. And another example is Paul McCartney had to buy the rights to his songs with Michael Jackson. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, it's good to own the rights to your own songs. You want to chart, you wouldn't want to have to pay every time you play your own song live.
In fact, on one of my CDs called Equinox, I found that the cover I wanted to use was actually an artwork done by a German photographer. So I found her and I emailed her and I asked for permission to use it just in case.
Yes.
And she gave me permission and I kept it.
All right. Now, we mentioned you just basically played originals with them. You didn't do any cover songs. Did you ever tour with them?
No, we only had a couple concerts in the Massachusetts area. It's like herding cats.
What clubs in Massachusetts? I'm curious. Like small clubs?
We only played a couple times at oh gosh, no, it was in Springfield, Mass, and I forgot the name of the theater, but it was the main assembly hall up there in Springfield, Mass. The Majestic Theater, I think it was called.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I've definitely heard of it. That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And how many releases do you have with them? You said 3?
3.
And that's, can people download them on iTunes or?
Yes, you can. You can also get them on CD Baby, Amazon Music, what have you. It's actually a story. What's called Begin is the first one. Messages from Earth is the second one. And I forgot the name of the third one, but it's actually a trilogy about people leaving Earth to find a new planet to live in. There's a story. There's videos too. It's pretty impressive.
It's a little Ray Bradbury / Rod Serling. How long were you together?
I'd say 7 or 8 years, but like I said, that was difficult to get everybody together. One of our younger people went on to go to the Boston Conservancy and major in voice. So we have some pretty talented musicians there. And our violin player went to the Art School of Music.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Now, did you start a new band immediately after the breakup, or did you go solo?
No, I'm pretty much solo. I mean, I'll gig with people and that kind of stuff. I mentioned my friends Eva up in Massachusetts. I'll jam with them when I can. But no, I'll be honest with you. As I'm getting older, I'm settling down more, and I just play my piano for fun now.
Yeah, that's what we mentioned before. That's basically what it's all about.
Yeah.
I was doing comedy for a while, as I mentioned, and everybody used to say to me, Rich, why do you always look so happy? I said, I'm having fun. And comedians actually said this. You have fun doing this? I said, why are you here? They thought that you on stage tell a joke that was so original that, all right, we're going to have you to a five special Comedy Central deal starting right now. And it was so funny. Like, people were trying so hard. They weren't even having fun. For me, I played 9 states, over 400 shows in 4 years. And people said, how do you get all these shows? I'm like, I just go and talk to people. But it's funny. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this as well, or maybe you didn't. There's a lot of egos and there's a lot of competition involved.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to break into the music field, to really make good money on it. But you have quite an impressive resume yourself, though, with your comedy. It sounds like you had a good career there.
Oh yeah, no, didn't really make a lot of money, but again, I had a great time. So I have something that pays the bills, and this is just something to keep me sane. Now, did you have a name for the band, or was it just you go by your just name, and just did you really have any? Because I think you said you had some releases doing.
Yeah, the name of the band is East of the Sky Orchestra.
Oh no, not that. I'm talking about like after they broke up, you went solo. So
no.
did you have like the Keith T. Hall experience or something?
No. Just when I made the CD, I just had my name and the title of the CD. That's all. I like that though. I can remember that one.
Use it.
How many CDs or how many releases did you come out with your solo project?
I've got three solo CDs.
And same thing, you can buy them on CD Baby and download.
You can, Amazon Music has them, Apple Music. You can just listen to it if you want. I'm not on YouTube. I'm not, it's all out there.
I want to talk to you about this because it's a great segue. We're talking about downloading music. What's your opinion on that? Remember, the first thing that happened was Napster, and everybody's like, "You're
Napster."
What's your opinion now, where you get paid in pennies? Do you like that? I'll tell you why I like it and I don't like it, but I want to hear your answer first.
Well, personally, as an amateur musician, and I consider myself, the term professional means you make money. I have made money, but I'm not at that level. So for someone like me, if they want to hear my song, I'm happy. But if you are a main act, like, any, I'm thinking Blue Oyster Cult or what have you.
Yeah,
I can understand them getting very angry that people are downloading their music and some of them are paying for it. Now, I'm trying to say, someone like me, I'm happy, but I can understand the point of view of someone who makes a living on with their music, not getting paid what they should get paid. So I kind of gave you an ambiguous answer, but for me, it's fine. For someone else, it's not that great.
It's funny you said that because that's exactly what my answer was going to be. I think it's great for up and coming musicians because people like you and my last guest, maybe they would go to a store and it wouldn't be in the store and they wouldn't even know you existed. But now with downloading, you're like, it's free, give it a chance. And then next time you're in town, like, oh, he's playing. Keith T. Hall's in town. Let's check him out. I heard this CD on Apple. Let's check it. So I think it's good. You said exactly what I was thinking. It's great for up and coming musicians. But I understand people like Bob Seger, Oyster Cult, bands that they're making their living from that. They're like, no, I'm losing, $50,000, probably even more a year than I could have gotten just from CDs and records. Now they have to go on tour and they jack the ticket prices up. So it costs us like $300 to see a 2-hour show. So we pay for it in the long run.
Hours.
What was that, Wibo?
Maybe like an hour and 45 minutes, hour and a half.
So I know when Napster first came out, I am against stealing it all, and I still think it's unfair to get 3 cents per song. But for up and coming musicians, I'm with you. I think it's great for them because you get a spotlight that you would probably normally wouldn't have because we don't even really have record stores anymore. There's a couple left in Connecticut and some other places, but you're not going to be sitting there on the end cap, the Keith T. Hall experience. So we're talking about recording. You recorded in studio with EOS, is that correct?
Yes.
What studio did you record in?
It's called the Water Shop Studio. It's in Springfield.
Okay. Now with all this technology, do you prefer to record in a studio or with your own equipment?
Well, I'm thinking about it. The studio we used up in Massachusetts was free because the lead guitarist owned the studio. So I have no trouble recording in the studio because the pressure is not on you on that studio because I wasn't paying by the hour. But I do mostly my home recording now. That way, I'm home recording and I've got all the equipment. If I turn the screen around, I show my equipment on the desk here. My keyboards are right here. That way I don't have the pressure of the clock. So if I'm doing my own recording I'll do it on my own. I can master it on my own. And you can come up with some quality music doing it on your own now. You couldn't do that 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. Years ago, I was in a metal band, and I became a manager at Rite Aid. That was a job that I was doing, paying the bills. And across the street, my guitar player was the pharmacist at Walgreens. So I went in and talked to him, and he'd worked the overnight shift. So he had his computer with him. I said, he was pretty laid back, I guess. It was not a busy night, and he's listening to his music. I said, wow, these guys are great. Who is it? He goes, it's me. I recorded it and put it on my computer. And this was probably 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. And the fact, the technology is so much better now, but yeah, I love the fact that you can go in and with movies, with music, and even books. I self-published my own book, and it's very professional. They were carrying at Barnes and Nobles, and you would think that it's, from a publisher. So I love the fact that people can do that, but also sometimes I think it hurts, it's all going back to hurting the mainstream bands or the bands that are doing from a living. But I love the fact that you can go in there and sound like a 30-year veteran.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you sing as well, right?
I can sing. I don't profess to be a singer, but I do sing. And people have said I have a very good voice, but I'm more comfortable on the instruments. But I do sing.
That's where Wibo comes. Wibo's the front man over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It's fun.
Now, when you're recording your own songs at home, what kind of equipment do you use?
Well, I know how to swing my computer, my iPad around because I'll screw everything up. But I've got up here, I've got a Casio 7500, call it a workstation, which is all kinds of bells and whistles. This here is my Casio. That's my stage piano. And I got in front of me a Yamaha MM6 synthesizer, and I have on the other. If I flip it around, I've got a interface for the mics and for the keyboards into the computer, and I use Pro Tools, Audacity, and for my recording, and that's pretty much it.
You're like the one-man electrical band.
Yeah.
Remember Signs? Remember Signs?
Yes. That's what I was thinking of. Yep. Everywhere signs. Then Tesla made it even more popular. The 80s hair band. And then, so what I liked about that is when these 80s hair bands were doing covers like that, there's a band named Faster Pussycat that did You're So Vain, which I love their version. But with that, I'd go back and listen to the original, which a lot of time with music, I love the 60s, so I knew a lot of the originals, but it brought, I remember people were saying, 5-man electrical band, who's that? And then they'd listen to them and find out, oh, this band's great too. So it was a good mix. Now, sounds like you've done a lot over the last couple of years playing music, just having fun. So what motivates you?
I just have to relax once in a while. Just turn the world off and play your guitar or play the piano. But I'll tell you something though. I don't, as an entertainer yourself, there are times that I go into dry spells too, and I won't play the piano for weeks at a time. And I'll just play, Yeah,
no, it's very similar because when I was doing comedy, I could not just sit there and write jokes. I would have to actually have it come to me. I would be taking a walk through the woods with my iPod, and all of a sudden jokes would come, and I'd have to write it down as soon as I got home or got to the car. And when I wrote the book, the same thing. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I can never. It's funny, if I felt that I had to do something, my mind would go blank. When I did it for fun and I was just relaxed, because when I graduated high school, I went to Connecticut School of Broadcasting and I did radio.
Yeah, sure.
The biggest, I worked at 1240 WWCO, your hometown favorite.
WCO.
And then my biggest station was 106.9 WCCC.
Of course.
Yeah. But the thing is, I took it too seriously back then because I wanted to make it as a DJ. I am having so much more fun now because there's no pressure on me. I'm just having a great time, having conversation with my friends. But back then, I look back and say, I wish I just had more fun with that. So that's why I asked that question, because I bet you if I had more fun with it and relaxed a little bit more, I probably would have gotten more jobs. 3 radio stations were good for that time. I'm not complaining about that. But
well, I don't think even Wibo knows this. My first semester at college, I was a music major in the clarinet. And then I realized I did not want to have music become my career. I wanted it to become my hobby and have fun with it.
Oh.
See, you didn't know that.
No, I didn't know it. Keep
Yeah.
holding back. Keep T holding back.
So one semester. I
We
said,
have a
"Yeah,
Rich and Weibo present local artist exclusive. I love it.
yeah, I played clarinet in the Danbury Symphony Orchestra.
Wow. So how old were you when you decided, like, I just want to have fun with this and I don't want this to be you never thought about becoming a music teacher?
No, yes, no, I did not. I wanted, my first semester at CCSC back then, because I'm so old. If I was going to major in music, I wanted to play in a concert orchestra.
Yeah.
But it's very, very difficult to make that break. To get in there, it's not easy.
Do you like listening to jazz or playing jazz music?
I'm not a jazz pianist, but I like Barney Kessel and Kurt and Barney Kessel and gosh, can't think of him right now.
I know.
Oscar Peterson, guys like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, see, for drummer wise, I'm thinking drums, like I love growing up watching Buddy Rich, of course. I remember his night show. Yeah, he's the best. And when I was reading an article on him, I didn't realize that he was, or no, I read a book on him. I also saw a documentary. I didn't realize he was self-taught too. And it's amazing. Yeah. They said what he'd do is he couldn't read notes at all. So they would have somebody play the drums just one time, the song. He would go up there and already know it. They said he had that photographic memory and he just knew everything.
There's a lot of people like that. They don't read, they just play just from air.
But what impressed me, the reason I brought up jazz, because what impressed me was Miles Davis. I had not realized that he made almost all of his songs up on the spot. They would just go to a club and the other musicians like, what are we gonna do? He's like, man, just be cool, man, just play it, feel it, man, feel it. And it was funny because most of their songs, no, I think all their songs, none of them were really rehearsed earlier. They just went up on stage and jammed.
And you probably couldn't even write that music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to sit down and write that out.
Yeah. No. So what advice, I want to hear this. What advice would you give to up and coming musicians right now?
Up and coming musicians. Gosh, you're making me sound like I'm a rock and roll star. But,
you are, keep on.
I would say, take a deep breath and have fun, but also be realistic of the future. I don't want to discourage anybody from not making it in music. It's a very tough field. Do the best you can, but don't be upset when you can't get that gig, or because there'll be other gigs. Aim for the moon, shoot for the stars, and also be a bit realistic too, because it's a tough world out there to make a living in music.
Yeah.
Right place, right time.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's definitely a major part. An example would be the Beatles. The 60s came out, people were looking for a change, and then Nirvana, people wanted to change. So it is right place, right time, but you also have to be talented, but also you have to have a thick skin, I think. You can't take things personally.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, from music, but I mean, being in the different things I do, writing a book, being in radio, there was so much backstabbing, so much, and I'm just like, whatever. As I know I'm doing a good job, I love what I'm doing, and I basically just did my own thing. That's why I love your attitude, because you're like, nope, I'm just like the one-man show.
That's it.
I mentioned the Moody Blues before. I happen to, I'm not friends with them, but I know a couple of them to talk to.
Yeah.
And long story short, when they were going through their R&B period, remember that song, Go Now? We've already said goodbye. One guy said, you guys are terrible. And they said that, they were bummed out. They turned their whole thing around. They became a prog rock band and one of the best bands the world ever saw because one guy insulted them. So as far as having a thick skin, look what it did for them.
Well, you know what? It's funny. Saying that I had in Connecticut School of Broadcasting, it was one of the disc jockeys. I don't know if you remember the name Sebastian. He was
oh God Almighty, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no. The reason
I know Sebastian.
No, go ahead.
I know Sebastian.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you know him personally off the air?
No, I know him. I met him a couple times. I know who he is. And I went to Central, and he was friends with the basketball coach there. And the basketball coach was always on his show. That's all. So that's my connection with Sebastian. And I know he can be very abrasive sometimes.
Yeah. Well, no, the reason I brought him up was because he had a saying which I liked. It was the more no's get you closer to a yes. And we were talking about like, just because don't be discouraged after the first time somebody says this stinks. Yeah. The next person might think it's the best song or the best air check that you ever did.
True.
So I brought that story up because people sometimes get so discouraged. I mean, a big band like Moody Blues got so discouraged from one person. It's just like, you know what? All right, that's your opinion. Move on. Because you're always gonna. When I bring up these different things, so I think all the arts go together in a way. And when I was writing a book, I was part of a writing group, and one of the people said, "Well, who should I write for?" I said, "Wait, no, write for yourself and let the audience find you. Don't try to find the audience because you have it come from the heart." And I think sometimes musicians and other people in comedians, another example, would do the same thing too. They're trying too hard to make the audience like them. Just do what you feel and what's coming from the heart, and then the audience will find you eventually.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
they will.
It's true.
You know, play your kind of music and play your niche, and you'll get a crowd of people to really to like you. You know, and everybody will, but you're going to get that crowd who's going to follow you.
Exactly. Now, if you could collaborate with any musician, living or dead, who would it be?
Yeah. Oh, Alan Parsons.
Ah.
Because that guy's a genius. I met him once too.
Wow. Where'd you meet him?
On one of those rock and roll trips. In fact, another funny story. I got a lot of stories. I'll tell you this. I'm on. It was a rock and roll cruise, and I'm up on deck playing guitar, just having a good time. And his roadie came by. He says, "Is it okay if Alan Parsons plays your guitar tonight? His guitar's not working." I said, "Wow." Yeah. So I think I can let that happen. So I packed my guitar, walked by security, met Alan Parsons. I said, "Mr. Parsons, can you do me one favor? Can I play one song with the band tonight?" He goes, in the English accent, "I can't do it, but I love to mate, but I can't let you do it. You got union rules here and everything." So but he played my guitar during the concert.
Yeah.
This guitar right here. This is the one he played.
Wow. You mentioned, what kind of cruise was it? Was it?
It's a theme cruise. It's a rock and roll cruise.
Okay.
Okay. You've got several of them out there now. Now, because of COVID, not so much. But you had Irish music cruises, Southern rock music cruises, R&B cruises.
Oh yeah.
This was a rock and roll cruise where I met the Zombies, Rod Argent, those guys. You know, so once you're going to come back, you'll see them again. There are theme cruises that are music oriented.
Where'd it go to?
Oh, you know, funny, if you could ask me that question, nobody cares. You're just, because there's so much music going on and everyone's having a good time. But they go to the basic Caribbean stops, you know, New Freeport, Bahamas, maybe the Grand Caymans, you know, the typical Caribbean stops.
Yeah, I would love that. Years ago, I was going to go on a 70s cruise. The headliner was America, which I've seen several times.
Oh, well, you're familiar with it then. Yeah.
Yes, I am. And I was all set to go, but what happened was I couldn't get my it was my passport in time, and just didn't. Actually, what happened was, I'm sorry, my taxes, they need the money. My taxes were coming in. I said, all right, just give me until February. And I couldn't afford it at the time, which I was kind of bummed out about, but it worked out. But yeah, I do know about the cruises, and I did want to go on, but the one you're talking about sounds like a 60s rock and roll cruise, which I would have loved to have been on.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That's the other thing, Rod Argent. I'm talking to Rod Argent like I'm talking to you now, face to face. What a great guy. You know, I'm pitching myself going, I'm talking to the guy who wrote Time of the Seasons.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, it's very surreal, you know.
I know, and it sounds like that you have access to these musicians on the cruise. Like they're very.
You do, for the most part. But
yeah.
There are some who shy away from it. And on one cruise, they had to kick a couple of people off because they were being a little obnoxious. Just have to respect them. They're people too, you know. So
yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I mean, luckily there's, you know, most people are respectful and they know that they're fans. But yeah, I go to a lot of different movie conventions and I see that too, where sometimes they get a little over, you know, too crazy. Oh my God, it's like they're just another person. Of course, just have a conversation with them. They'll probably talk to you like you and I are talking right now, like you just said. Some people get starstruck and they can't believe that they're in front of their idol.
How's Florida doing down there?
It's cooling down today. We're down to the mid 70s. We're pretty hot.
Can't believe you're not wearing a coat. A jacket.
I should have put a Hawaiian shirt on. Yeah.
Keep on, boy. You tanning down there, huh?
I'm gonna be coming back sometime in June. See Wibo. It's my buddy. Play some music.
Right, Keith.
Like I said, keep me informed because I definitely want to be there to jam out to you guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sounds like fun. Now, when you're playing with Wibo and friends, how many? Is it just guest musicians or Wibo? Do you have an actual band and then other?
Yeah, I'll let Wibo handle that question.
Oh, I just bring people in.
Yeah.
What we need.
We had a set band for a while. We had a set band. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a set band for a while. Unfortunately, a couple of members passed away.
That's the way. Yeah.
Life changes. But
and I can bring people in. We do Convalescent Homes too. The Convalescent Homeboy, they love the songs.
Yeah.
They rocking and rolling, the wheelchairs be moving, man. Right, Keith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you a funny story because Keith, are you originally from this area? You said, do you remember?
I lived in New Britain most of my adult life. I'm from Norwalk, but yes, for the most part, I lived in the Hartford area.
You remember it used to be called Brass City Records, but it was Phoenix Records in Stilson Avenue in Waterbury, and it was on Bank Street.
Bank Street, yeah.
Yes, vaguely though. I never went there, but I know of.
Okay, the reason I brought that up because the owner of it, he's a former teacher, and his name is a professor. But he had a band, and they used to play McDonald's in Plainville, and it was all the, as you mentioned, basically the convalescent home people, and they were rocking, they were rolling.
Yeah, having a good time.
No, but the funny thing was they had to actually stop playing there because the crowd got too wild. Older guys were dancing with the other woman. They were starting fights. I was laughing.
That's a wild crowd.
I sat back and just watched and laughed. Playing old classic rock songs. Like, you're dancing with my woman. He goes, Rich, this is the wildest crowd I've ever played in front of.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
It was actually at the New Britain McDonald's. You remember where the Sting used to be?
The Sting, absolutely.
Yeah. Across the street or near there was a McDonald's. There.
David Bowie played at the Sting one night, surprise guest.
Oh yeah.
He walked right in and played some songs. I wasn't there when it happened, but
wow. I did not realize that. It's funny because I interned at 106 WHCN and they had a deal with the Sting, so they would give me free tickets. They used to call me. Do you remember a DJ named Litch?
Oh yeah, the Litch.
I interned with him, and he used to go on air and call me the the leech because I said, hey, I will take everything you give me. I'm not getting paid to be an intern, so I saw every concert. I was at the Sting every week, but can't believe I missed that show. That would have been great.
It was a walk-in. It was a surprise thing.
Oh, I wish I walked in that day.
Surprise! I'm here.
It's similar to, I'm sure you heard this story. The Rolling Stones did the same thing at Toad's Place.
Yes, they did.
Yep. They went in there and nobody knew that they were going to be there, and they started playing. So the people that were already in there were lucky enough to see the Stones close up.
Yeah. Well, along those lines, if you ever look at the Billy Joel video, River of Dreams, you know the song "In the Middle of the Night."
Yeah.
The part of the video is from the Middletown. And the iconic bridge is there, and he's playing the piano on that bridge, and the Aragoni Bridge is in the video. So check it out.
Oh wow!
You'll recognize it right away.
Wow!
Didn't realize that. Does he have a connection to Connecticut?
No. What they do that's what they have scouts when they make these videos. They have scouts. Hey, I'm going to play a song about a river and the Bible. Find me a place to play, and they'll scout the entire country to find the right place. Like a movie, Yeah.
Now, what's your current view, or what's your view on the current music scene?
Oh wow! I didn't expect this question. I was going. This isn't going to be politics, is it? Okay, no,
not politics.
When you asked that question,
the music scene.
I know.
Okay.
You know, I get a big kick out of people who say, "I don't like this music. They don't have music." Well, you know, our parents said the same thing about our music. I like some of the stuff coming out now. You know, this guy who played the Weekend. He played at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yep.
The guy is awesome. you got people saying, oh, he's not this, he's not that. Some of this new music is really, really good. I'm really impressed with it. I'm very impressed with The Weeknd. Billie Eilish, I like people like her. You know, you don't have to be a young kid to like this stuff. And sometimes NBC Saturday Night Live brings people on board, and that's how people like me see these guys. So yeah, as far as the current music scene goes, let them play. I mean, some of the stuff is really good.
Fun.
Some of those young kids are talented.
Well, I'll tell you one person that really impressed me, and I actually like her stuff, and I'm not embarrassed to admit it, is Miley Cyrus. She can really sing. She has I have a friend whose daughter is 13 years old. And she's playing this. I'm like, who is that? She's really good. I said, that's Miley Cyrus. And then I went back and listened to some more stuff. And I love the fact that she goes back and plays with people that, you know, Joan Jett, Metallica, other genres. She's not afraid to just stick to her pop career. She actually did a pre-Super Bowl show with Joan Jett and Billy Idol, which wasn't seen on the air. But I would have loved to have seen that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh. I wish I read about it after the Super Bowl was over, but I guess that they didn't air it. I would have loved to have seen that as a part of the halftime show. But anyway, I agree with you. And like you said, every generation, like, oh, that's not music. That's not music.
Yeah.
I think sometimes what happens is radio ruins the good music in a way because they're putting out stuff that maybe is popular, but there's so much more hidden talent underneath that are more underground. But with this new technology, with the internet, with YouTube, with iTunes, you can hear all these people like we discussed.
Yeah, but I will say though, sometimes in my opinion, sometimes musicianship has gone downhill because of technology. When you press a button on a keyboard, you got a drum beat going on. You know, that kind of bothers me. But I think some of these vocalists are quite good.
Yep. Well, I think that's a perfect example with technology ruining, because it sounds too polished for me. With the vocals, if you hit a wrong note, hit that button. Oh, it's perfect. Sometimes I like the rawness. Sometimes I like the little scratchiness. It makes it sound more real. And so I think that, as you said, technology does ruin it in a way, but it makes you sound too perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Wibo, you have any questions for the man?
For Keith Hall. Keith, you've been playing in Florida over there?
No, only there are a couple of musicians here where I live in my neighborhood. We play together, but as far as playing out, not for the last year and a half because of COVID.
Yeah, COVID. Yeah.
Streaming seems to be the next big thing. Or Facebook Live.
It'll come back.
Have you done any streaming shows?
Not streaming shows. I've actually played with others the same format we're doing now. But no, I've never done any streaming shows. My technology is rather limited. I mean, I have the equipment to do it. It's up here. I got to figure it all out.
Yeah. Well, I think too, it also destroys because to me, I feed off the crowd no matter what I'm doing. Like I see streaming. You can't do a comedy stream like this. You need that audience reaction, the interaction. So same thing with music. I think it would be too sterile while you're sitting there, even though you're going to be doing it in a little while. You know, if you're gonna do a whole show like that, it's just not. I mean, I like the fact that a couple of my friends do that. I have a lot of friends that are in bands, and I watch it. It's fun, but it's just, I don't know. For me, I don't have that same feeling of like, you know, the crowd feeding off the
not at all.
gratification. So I'm guessing you haven't done any of that.
No.
Now, we talked about the current music scene, which I loved your answer with this. I want to get your view on this. The recent trend of reality talent shows, such as The Voice and America's Got Talent. What do you think about people that want instant success instead of the 20-year overnight success?
No, I'm not happy about it. I'll tell you why. Most of it is flashy, and a lot of it is vocals. For instance, and I don't want to say things that upset anybody, but this whole thing, this Masked Singer, what's that all about?
Yeah.
It's all theatrics.
Yes.
Now, when someone goes on one of these talent shows, whatever, America's Got Talent, and they sing maybe something from Phantom of the Opera, they didn't write it. They didn't play the background music. They didn't even play the piano. They're just singing it. And I'd say 60% of the people in this country could probably pick up the microphone and start singing that. So, in my opinion, it's the writer, the musician, the orchestra, those are the people who really should get the credit. And if you happen to have a good set of pipes on you, you'll do well in those talent shows. But if you're the actual composer who really put the work in, you're not going to get the recognition.
Well,
You're right about that, because a lot of these talent shows now it's all about the money. They're making money off this.
Yeah.
That's what the whole key is. You know, it's really sad.
Well,
Now, you get someone up there who wrote his own music or her own music, play the piano with her song, God bless her.
what I think is funny too, imagine this. They had a reality show back in the 60s called America's Got Talent. Bob Dylan walks up on stage. Do you think he would be voted off? They would be like, you know what, you stink. Yeah, they're like, you're right, sorry, you know, come back in a couple of years when you practice a little bit.
Get the hook.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Well, you know what's funny? There was I can't remember who it was, but he won a Grammy the night before, and it was a radio show, and they had this was the original America's Got Talent with Simon Cowell, Randy Jackson, and Paul Dewey, and they were all on there. And the guy came in who just won a Grammy the night before, sang that song that he won the Grammy for, but he was like, he had a hat on, shades on, and he was hoping that they wouldn't notice who he was. And they said, you know what? It's a little rough. Maybe a couple more years you can be. And he's like, I'm actually the guy that wrote that song, and I won a Grammy last night. And they were so embarrassed. So it makes me think, like, they're just, sometimes I think they just like hearing themselves talk, and they're just like spouting opinions, and I don't even know if they're really giving any kind of actual advice to these people. Like, oh yeah. So it's entertainment. That's all it is.
It's a show.
Yeah.
And they're making money off it. You know, and they sugarcoat it, you know.
Yeah, that's why I love the days when the bands would go through the clubs, you know, following. And I also like the fact too of the 60s and 70s where you were able to progress. Like an example would be Beatles' Love Me Do all the way to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. If a band ever tried that now, they would be booted from the record label after like the second song that sounded like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wibo?
Yeah.
Keith Hall the man tonight. He's the man tonight. He's gonna play a song for us, right, Keith?
I'll try.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Rich and we will present exclusive, the one, the only, the infamous, Mr. Keith T. Hall.
Gee.
What's the name of the song?
A song called okay, this is a song called East of the Sky, and I'm hoping it comes out okay because, you know, I'm using an iPad here, and I don't know how good the microphone is. So.
Yeah, no, sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good to me so far.
Yeah, yeah. Keep on, keep on.
Take a bow. Take a bow. That was great. So let's plug you a little bit. What's next? I know COVID's going on, so you're not really too sure, but where can people find you?
Well, again, Keith T. Hall, YouTube, a lot of stuff on YouTube, Amazon Music. And I am working on some new stuff now. One thing about being a musician and having all this equipment is if you're in a space like this, when, you know, COVID going on, you can sit down and actually spend some time. And I'm practicing now. You're familiar with recording, right? With Pro Tools and stuff like that. I am having a really fun time now, just experimenting with layering and having all kinds of fun on different instrument sounds. I'm putting some stuff together. I mentioned before, less is more, but in this case, I'm just trying to see what's out there. What would it sound like if I layered strings on top of this trumpet and that kind of stuff? And I'm coming out with some pretty interesting stuff. I'm going to put it out there and see if people like it.
All right. So are you recording this and putting it together?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yep.
Good job, Chief.
Pardon?
Chief Hall.
Oh, thanks.
Chief T.
Yeah.
I think you have your official announcer before you go on stage.
I know. It is Thomas, by the way.
Well, Keith Thomas Hall, it was great having you on the show.
Yeah.
Please come back anytime. And
it was my pleasure. When I get back to Connecticut, I'll give you guys a buzz. We'll get together.
yes, and I definitely
Fully vaccinated, so.
Yep. No, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm all set.
I'm good. In fact, I'll bring a guitar up. And Wibo, I'm going to tell you, I'm bringing a keyboard up. I'm keeping it at my friend's house up in New Hartford. So she's going to have it all the time. Every time
Okay.
I just grab it and come see you guys.
It's not that far from me, around the corner.
I know.
So before we leave,
Yeah.
is there any story that you have? You said you had tons of stories, and I'm sure we missed some. Is there one story you want to share with our viewers that you didn't share with us yet?
No. Well, I'm trying to think. I'll probably think of one after I hang up.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. I mean to put you on the spot.
But I will tell you this though. Oh yeah. Well, a couple of things. This is terrible. I got to tell you a couple of stories. On one of these cruises, I like to work out. I like to exercise. I'm in the gym with these cruises, and there was this nice looking woman. I'm not going to be vulgar about it. It's a nice looking woman. I said, oh, okay. She's actually really attractive, you know. So, and we got to know her, and we start jogging on the deck together. And the next day she sees me. She takes my picture. Next day I see her with a tag on that says a musician. I said, well, what band are you with? She goes, oh, I'm Dave Mason's wife.
Oh.
I mean, great. I mean, this foxy young lady, and she's Dave Mason's wife. So I met Dave Mason, and I said, great, you know. Anyway, that's why the other story goes. I mentioned I had a hand surgery, and I have a genetic disease called Dupuytren's contracture. It's when your fingers close up and you can't stretch them. So I had surgery done, and it's getting there. Rod Argent from the Zombies had the exact same problem. So we spent a good half hour talking about how he maneuvers around the keyboard with his bent fingers.
Wow.
Wow.
So you got to commiserate with him, and also you became
Friends.
Dave Mason's wife, but Keith T. Hall's girlfriend.
I know.
Security.
I love that story.
I don't think they're super happy though, but
That's funny.
Keith T.
Yeah. Anyway.
Keith, once again, like I said, I'm so glad that Wibo introduced me to you, and I recommend everybody check out. Now, do you have your own YouTube channel, or do we just type in your name and I'll find all your music?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you can do it both ways. Like, you can subscribe to my channel, or you can just key in my name, you'll find it.
Okay. Check them out on YouTube. Check them out on iTunes. You heard that one song. I cannot wait to hear some more. That was just
like that. Nice mellow.
That was just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure many more just like that and even better.
Yeah.
And as far as this recording goes, we'll be on again sometime.
Yes.
Very good. Just
Yes.
let me know what.
You know what? This is, as Wibo and I were talking about before, it's the local artist show. You have an open invitation. Anytime you want to be on the show, even if you want to help us interview another musician, I would love to have you on.
That may be too. But I mean, but this recording is this particular recording.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're asking when?
This show.
Yeah.
When can I see that? Can I see
Oh, what we have to do is we have to, Weibo's friend is editing it. So when we send it to him,
okay.
I'll keep you updated with that. And you'll be the first person that knows about it. We can put it on our YouTube channel and have everybody enjoy your music.
Well, now that I'm more relaxed with you guys, I'll be glad to do it. Maybe I'll play a couple songs on the guitar next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. All right. Well, that wraps up the latest episode of Rich and Wibo Present the Local Artist Show. We would like to thank our extremely talented guest, Keith T. Hall, boyfriend of Dave Mason's wife, for being such a great guest. We would also like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Enjoy your day, everyone.